Jeff Sangpil. I've got decades in media technology, starting it back at ABC and going all the way into AI. Along the way, broadcast engineering, post-production, systems integration, facilities build out. I've had CTO and high-level engineering roles across post and storage, Light Iron, Chainsaw, Keycode, Qualstar. Today I'm working as a consultant and fractional CTO as the post doctor. It's vendor neutral, focused on production, post infrastructure, live storage, asset management, expanding markets, and workflow integration. I've been involved with SMPTE, HBA, SBE. I also publish and podcast under the Post Doctor.
And so I'm Evan Sandstrand. I'm the founder and principal at Varda Media Solutions. And Varda is a new, small, but growing little boutique operation consulting outfit. We're also a solution reseller and a solution builder as opposed to a traditional systems integrator. But what's unique about us is that we focus exclusively on non-broadcast clients. What we do is we try to help our customers build the kind of media operation that they truly need in order to meet the actual business objectives of creating, managing, and publishing the content without dragging them down that rabbit hole of traditional broadcast engineering. And those of you who know what I mean by that, you know what I mean by that. Let's switch a little bit over to the topic of collaboration and contract production. So if an organization does have its own video production team or in-house capability, can or should it still have a content factory?
Yeah, and I think it's more important rather than less important. If it's internal, it's just all managed there. But if it's external and you're working with multiple agencies, multiple contractors, over time, that's a lot of different folks who have their hands in the pie. Having a content factory that is predetermined is how you're going to have ownership of that content when the relationship ends. And that goes to the media supply chain, because your media supply chain doesn't go upon it's not finished upon broadcast or final notes on the on the piece there. It's going to be bringing that entire catalog of content that you've got under your control in-house, and it lets you also figure out, okay, we want to go do this new thing and tell this new story. You may have already paid for some of that. Why would you want to reinvent the wheel when you've got them? You just need to figure out how you're going to search for them and determine how you can save money.
Absolutely, yeah. And thinking back on it's like no man's an island. No company is ever entirely an island. And thinking back to that example of the traveling hard disk, if you don't have a content factory that can enable collaboration for both remote contribution and remote distribution, well, then you're going to be running the risk of these traveling USB sticks, etc., that are going to get lost on the subway, going to be left behind on an airplane seat, or get lost in shipping. So a good solution, a good content factory will, among other things, consist of the appropriate or the quality business process orchestration and automation tool that is integrated into this. A lot of stuff still needs to be done manually. Some things are going to be done by AI, but when it comes to things like sending stuff out or taking stuff in, yeah, you want to have, and this kind of ties a little bit to the AI, you always want to have quality assurance steps in your processes, keeping the human in the loop where you need to make sure that, okay, you can do this in a safe way.
I think also when we're talking about the external contracted parties, if they're working inside of your content factory, mm-hmm. you're not just getting the finished file. You have all of the raw, and if you need to redo something later, it's very easy to handle that, especially if you've got all the constituent parts archived. And then that also goes to confirming that an agency or a contractor has removed your material from them at the end of the engagement. That's especially if it's something that's got rights management tied to it for talent or music or whatever. That's going to be critical. It's a contract thing, not a technical feature, and it really needs to be in the statement of work before the first shoot day. And probably take that statement of work and run it by legal first too, because they may have a few additions.
And you want to be easy because you don't want to have to hunt around when an engagement is over or a project is close to be hunting around on 10, 20 different locations. You want to be able to go, okay, well, this is the folder for all this stuff. All right, you no longer have access, and I'm archiving this off, and one and done type of stuff.
All right. So, is a content factory only useful for external facing communications?
No, absolutely not. It works both inward facing and outward facing, and the inward facing case I think is underrated. It's easy to think of corporate video, corporate communication, or non-broadcast as, hey, this is something that's going out. But there are so many internal types of use cases. Video is scientifically, research has proven, is scientifically known to increase both engagement and retention. So using video for internal communications can target an employee base that also is increasingly expecting video rather than an email PDF. Yeah, I'm talking about my kids who would probably prefer to get it on a text message even. Desktop podcast creation tools and self-service recording tools. Almost anyone can produce content outside of a studio. This doesn't have to always be super formal type of content. This can be something from a salesperson to a client where they have a good relationship, but it should be stored, it should be monitored, should be indexed so that they can know what's going on there. The fundamental challenge is managing all that raw and completed content and getting it out to the consumers and customers, internal and external, and preserving that, and is what makes you understanding what you already have and avoiding all that sort of reproduction of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, also the other thing I've done with corporate messaging before is, you're watching it after the fact. It's like, oh, it's an hour-long message. I can watch this at 1.75 speed. I'll get it done in less time than it was going to take to watch it live. So you had a framing on this, and I'd like you to say it on the air about fireside chats and what actually does get consumed.
So yeah, I mean, a fireside chat is often the closest you're going to get to having a CEO do something with video. Busy people, but this is something that, hey, and a lot of nice CEOs, but kind of speaks a little bit to their ego. Hey, I'm the grandpa, the grandma of the organization. I will now share my wisdom with employees. And like I said, but doing a 30-minute 60-minute recording where they're chattering on and someone later on watches it at double speed, maybe with an accompanied PDF document to highlight the most important points that no one's going to open up because they didn't even see it. Is that better than a shorter purpose-built type of clip that someone has actually edited? Well, it depends a lot on the content itself and how well it attracts and holds that attention and what is needed to be retained and what is retained. But at the core of it, it's kind of like playing golf. A ball has a lot greater chance of dropping into the hole if it actually reaches the goal, that hole. Content that is never created won't reach anybody, but content that goes out and not consumed because it's not attractive is also a waste of time and money.
Yeah, I think that goes to the concept of the attention economy. I mean, it's a big thing out there with the creators talking about that, but it goes to employees too. We don't even measure it. We pretend it doesn't exist, and it's a message from senior management. Of course, everyone's going to watch it.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, broadcasting tools. We all know broadcasting tools used to be highly complex, bespoke, proprietary, and super expensive. That's no longer true, and that's what makes all of this possible. But at the same time, the difference between a broadcast and corporate video has to be clear. It's like not every internal memo needs to be a video. Like, there is such a thing as oversaturation of that. And it certainly doesn't need to be an 8K video on a virtual set. That is complete overkill. However, an instructional video for a key procedure for a medical team or an engineer or something like that must hold attention and deliver the content and requires that quality of audio video that we mentioned earlier. And a customer-facing video, product training, companies like Home Depot, they have studios that run 24/7 producing product videos, even if it's just a little spinning video, but they need to serve the brand and avoid lawsuits. They have to be good. Simplicity matters. But quality and timeliness is actually matters more if that message is going to be received, retained, and converted to any kind of value.
Yep, and I think the shift on this is real. Some people have moved content to short vertical formats, and if you happen to be watching this vertically right now, it was produced landscape. But producing one asset and then breaking it down to other delivery formats rather than producing each one separately is going to be a huge cost savings. And you're not going to necessarily get an executive over a certain age to record two versions of this presentation. Hey, let's shoot this one vertical. No, they're off to the next thing. And in the coming episodes, we'll be bringing some manufacturers and some integrators in. Let's show what we're talking about rather than just describing it. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons. And if you've got questions about the concepts around this, please hit us up in the comments. And both of us will have our contact information popping up shortly. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you very much, everyone.